Welcome to the Go Slow to Go Fast Lifestyle Podcast, where we explore how intentional living, simple habits, and slowing down can help us build a life we truly love. I'm Kendra Chapman, your host, and today's episode is full of energy, honesty, and real life joy. I'm joined by Tamara Zoner, speaker, coach, and someone on a mission to create more happiness in the world by teaching the actions and habits that can actually make it possible. She's not just talking about happiness, she's living it. As a single mom of 3 amazing kids, Tamara brings a show, not tell approach to life, demonstrating that every day, what it looks like to choose joy, even in the midst of real life responsibilities, and especially when it's hard. And if that's not enough, she's also a karaoke enthusiast, which tells you everything you need to know about her willingness to embrace fun and live fully. In this conversation, we dive into what happiness really looks like, how she goes slow day to day, and how those small shifts can really create big changes, and also why choosing joy is both a practice and a decision. Let's dive in. So Tamara, I want to say thank you for agreeing to come and sit down with me today for the Go Slow to Go Fast Lifestyle Podcast. How are you doing?
I'm doing well. How are you?
Doing pretty well. Yeah. So before we jump into your story, I love to always ask my guests the first question. How do you go slow to go fast?
Lately, it's by trying to reduce the events on my calendar, which
I hear
tends
you.
to get really full really fast. And I'm trying to increase the blank space. Yeah.
I hear you. Yeah. So your schedule is something that you really like to curate and hold sacred.
Yes. And I don't always succeed. In fact, I fail forward most of the time.
Mm-hmm.
But for
Yeah.
instance,
Yeah.
my very best friend asked me, if I wanted to do lunch tomorrow. And I was like, that's my one day since I can remember that there was nothing on my calendar. So we had dinner last night instead so that tomorrow I could just stay in my PJs, do a little laundry or nothing.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And I find joy in those days.
So much
I think,
joy. So much joy. Yeah. In the simplicity of being able to get a few household tasks done or not put on makeup or, just to be and just to be and be and be and not do.
mhm, yes, not be rushed. It's just so luxurious, especially if you get to stay in your pajamas a little bit longer. Yeah.
Yes. I don't really have weekends because I teach and work on the weekends. And so Thursday is my weekend.
I hear you. So whatever day of the week that looks like for you, you want to just stretch out and really enjoy that time. So
Yes.
I'm very much on the same page of that. I'm a PJ all day if I can, but it's
Yeah.
few and far between. So
It is. Yeah.
yes. So, do you mind just kind of diving in a little bit into kind of that, I guess, that area of personal growth for you? I mean, we're going to talk about your story and about how you really lean into happiness and creating the life that you want to live. But for listeners and viewers out there who may not know anything about you, do you mind just kind of sharing the beginnings of where that started for you, why you got into happiness?
Yeah. I was miserable. So I found myself in a deeply unhappy marriage. I had 3 young children and I had been, just plugging along for a really long time. And actually, it was this moment my husband left for a few weeks on a business trip and everything started to feel better. The kids got along better. Everything went smoother. I started to relax and I was like, oh, so I started to make some changes then. That's when I got into life coaching. It's when I got into a few of the other certifications that I have. And I really was working on like being kinder to my children and to myself because I had found myself yelling at them for no good reasons, just my own pent up anger and resentment at the the bigger person in the house, right? And so that is what really instigated my change and my step back into personal growth and psychology. And I wanted to clean up my own act to be a better parent than I was being and to like who I was again.
Yeah, it's interesting those dynamics when one parent or partner or whomever is in your household is not there, the difference that can be. And it can be a positive thing, it can be a negative thing, it can just be a change that you notice. So that was amazing that you were so aware and you picked up on that energy change.
Yes, yes. And man, knowing that I could stop bracing constantly and start to relax. And then it happened again a couple of years later when I took the kids home for a visit. At the time, we were living in the UK and I'm from Michigan. So just the kids and I came home for a visit, which I really advocated for. And again, I felt myself relax. I felt myself starting to breathe deeper. And that's when I made like the ultimate decision to not go back to that relationship.
And I'm a firm believer that everybody that comes into our life is there to teach us
Heck yes.
something, right? And it can be for a season or a reason or, long term, short term, whatever.
Yeah.
Sometimes we're just supposed to have our children with one person and then move on to another, partnership.
Yeah.
I tell my husband that all the time because I'm his second wife. So it's just,
Yeah. Yeah,
that's
sometimes
it.
that partnership is with yourself for a while,
Hmm.
right? And it
Yeah.
was for me. And
Hmm.
just really get to know, like, who am I again? What do I want? What makes me happy? What do I need to do? And how do I need to be in order to clean up the messy past and start living again for myself?
Hmm.
Yeah.
So once you made that change where you were solo and you had three children that you were raising on your own,
Yeah.
how did you lean into that space, that next chapter of your life? Where did you go from there?
So from there, I was coaching ever so slightly. I had just started my business in the UK, so it was fresh start. Now I'm a single mom of three young children. They were 5 and 8 and 9 at the time. And so I also needed to be able to pay the rent while I built my business. And I really explored job searching with a feeling in mind. Like, okay, I don't want to just go do something because I have to do it. I want to, I had already become a passion test facilitator. I'd already gotten my life coaching certification. And so I didn't want to go back to old ways. I wanted to like move forward in this new space of knowing that um, it needs to fill me up. It needs to bring me some joy and lift my heart a little. And it needs to be something I'm passionate about and that feels purposeful. And so I would like lean into that feeling, what I wanted life to look like and feel like as I was job searching. And if the description sounded interesting and made me curious and made my heart lift a little, then I would send in my resume. And it was a few months later, I didn't even remember what I had applied for, that I got a call from a senior living place 5 minutes from my house. And I ended up interviewing in almost all of their departments and landed in life enrichment. So I became, it's activities in senior living. And it was so much fun and it was part time and it allowed me to still be building my coaching and speaking business while and still meeting my kindergartner at the bus stop and then still get to work on time because it was so close. And I did that for about a year and a half. And then I was encouraged by a friend to interview for a full-time director of life enrichment position at another community, which I was like, I don't want to work full time. I want to work on my business. But within 3 days, I had been offered the job and ended up there for 4 years. And I loved it. And it really helped me also clarify that our purpose can be lived not just in one way, right? Our purpose, what makes us feel purposeful, and this is such a really important piece of happiness that people often miss, doesn't have to be like what a book describes as purpose. It can be as simple as lifting someone else's heart each day. That's purposeful. And so I got to go play with my seniors. I got to take them to the opera, to the movies, to fine dining, to theaters, to museums. It was so much fun. And then the time came along with COVID to move on from that and take my business full time. Yeah.
Well, it sounds like, the universe definitely helped you out when the time was right to move on to the next thing. But it definitely sounds like there was a reason for everything that happened.
Absolutely, 100%. I just, follow the little spark of guidance and go, "Well, I don't know why this is time." And even with leaving
Hmm.
that job, that's a big risk for a lot of people. And I would meditate and I would ask. And one day I sat down and was meditating and asking, and I pulled a card and I was like, "Okay, okay, show me a sign. Show me a sign when it's time to go and let me know and make it really clear because I need really clear guidance or I'm going to ignore it." And
Right.
I pull a card and it was like, "Here's your door. When will you walk through it?"
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
I hear you. Yes. So,
Yeah.
just listening in and following the little, breadcrumbs that the universe is providing for me has been a beautiful journey. Just one door opens and opens and opens, and I might not always know why I'm supposed to do this thing, but I listen and I lean in, and it takes me to the next even more beautiful place in my life.
So it sounds like from each of the decisions that you've made, and these are some big life decisions that you trusted that intuition or, however it was coming in. And I'm just kind of wondering for listeners and viewers out there if others have, listened when they felt that or sensed that calling or change that needed to happen the first time, because I
Yeah,
can tell
it
you
can
I
be really
didn't.
hard. It takes
Yeah.
some practice and some evidence,
Hmm.
right? So as
Yes.
time progressed, I could go, "Oh, well, I said yes to this thing that lifted me up, and this good thing happened, and then okay, I have evidence now, so I can trust this." So I'm a Capricorn. I need
Okay.
evidence.
Hmm.
I'm in the woo-woo world, but I'm very grounded in that. And so I definitely wanted to build evidence, but you can't build that evidence that those nudges, that inspiration or intuition lead you in the right direction unless you actually say yes to it, even when you don't trust
Hmm.
it. So that's
Right.
where I started. So if anybody's like, "Oh, I get those nudges and I'm afraid," I was afraid to listen to them too.
Hmm.
But I decided to do that despite the fear, and it
Hmm.
led me in all the right places and still does today. Like we have so many decisions every single day. We can choose this or choose that. We can open a door, we can leave it closed. And I have, honed this listening in, feeling in. And sometimes I ignore it for a little while, but then bigger pushes come. It's like, "No, do it, do it.
Hmm.
Okay, okay, okay. I'm going to go forward. I'm going to try this. I'm going to walk through the door and we'll see what happens." Because
Right.
there's no real mistakes, really,
Right.
if we
Right.
come in with the intention to learn from it.
Hmm. Yeah. And I do believe that it's part of our human experience to, maybe not always listen the first time, but if it keeps coming up, that's a sign that you need
That is
to
a big
consider it at least.
yeah. And hopefully we listen before it gets so loud
Hmm.
that it takes
Yeah.
us out of the direction we were headed full steam. So, yeah.
Yes, absolutely. So, besides listening to your intuition, however that shows up for you, however it presents yourself and making these decisions so you're living the life that you want, did you, stay in that place of, okay, I've got my business going, now it's full steam ahead, or did you have any hiccups before you really felt like it was good to go?
Well, there's still hiccups.
Mm,
That's
yeah.
I think the life of an entrepreneur is there's still, business changes. I'm a coach, I'm a speaker. Sometimes I'm booked, sometimes I'm not. Sometimes I have clients, sometimes they tend to drop off. Sometimes I launch and it's really successful. Sometimes I launch and it's crickets. So
Hmm.
have to be very aware of the work that I do it with myself. A
Mm,
lot of happiness. It's really a state of inner peace and well-being, right? I'm not skipping through fields of sunflowers all the time. I'm allowing the full range of human emotion. That is part of happiness. And
hmm.
so I have my ups and downs, my highs and lows, my inner critic pops in and says mean things. But today, after, almost a decade or more of practicing these tools that I teach, I can recognize it before it brings me down, right?
Hmm.
And I can go, "Oh, I hear you. I know we're having those thoughts again. Let's be with them for a bit and let's see what's true, right?" Now I can
Right.
examine my critical thoughts about myself, my business, my skills with more objectivity and a whole lot more love than I could 10 years ago.
Hmm. Yeah, because I don't want anybody out there thinking that if you're focusing on happiness all the time and you're, ignoring any of those negative thoughts, you're not bypassing the human
Nothing.
emotion.
No, we're not
You're
by
just
this is
choosing.
authentic happiness, not
Mhm.
toxic happiness or toxic positivity. Every feeling is welcome. Every
Mhm.
emotion has a place to speak. And I mean, come on, I'm a mom of 3 children who are no
Right.
longer child. They have gone through teen years. Now my oldest is turning 21 in May, and we've had lots of traumatic experiences in our lives. Like, it's not always
Mhm.
easy, it's often very challenging, and I don't let it bring me down. I sit
Mhm.
with the feelings that aren't the ones we all want, and I'm tender in those
Mhm.
so that
Mhm.
I can expand my ability to experience joy. Because if
Yeah.
we're numbing them down to what's comfortable, we don't get the highs if we won't take the lows.
Mhm. Exactly. I wanted to bring that up and you brought it out first that, being a mom of 3, I'm also a mom of 3. Mine are a little younger, but they're getting ready to get into those preteen, and the feels are there.
Oh,
And
yes.
who's going to get it first, right? We are. And it's
Yeah,
okay because they feel safe with us. But,
right.
that's just part of, parenting and that's part of being a preteen. We know it's going to come and it's going to happen. And then when they move on to their 20s, it's still going to be up and down. I mean, it doesn't
Yeah,
stop,
now
right?
they're learning how to adult and mine
Yeah.
are 16 and 19 and almost 21, and it's, like, still full on parenting, it's just different.
Hmm.
And and now, I'm sandwich generation, so now I'm helping with my parents. My dad has dementia, so there's lots of challenges in life.
Hmm.
And I've got a human body, which some at 51 years old, that sometimes doesn't feel great. So it's
Right.
not about, "Oh, focus on the positive." No, we need to be real with ourselves too, like,
Hmm.
"My knee hurts," or "I'm sad," or "I'm really frustrated," or "I'm content." Like, can we welcome
Hmm.
all of it? Because
Yes.
that's how we get to be happy or content or at peace within ourselves, is by welcoming all of it, not pushing away any of it, and also not clinging to any of it. So having a
Hmm.
like, letting it flow through. Here it is, and there it goes. Here it is. I'm gonna be with it. I'm not gonna ignore it, repress it, or cling on to it. I'm gonna be
Right.
like, "This is what I'm feeling right now." And some people will be like, "Well, Tamara, I can't, I'm in the middle of my workday, or I'm taking care of an aging parent or a young child. I can't just be with my feelings." Okay, I got a solution for you. We can go, "I don't have the space to deal with this right now." So instead of just like shoving it down and sucking it into the gut where it will live then until you know, it's getting louder and louder and you have to deal with it. I like to have
Hmm.
of like, take what you don't have the space or capacity for right now and put it up on a mental shelf. So not in a cupboard, not in a different room, where it's up on the shelf. You know it's still there. It's like a sticky note that you might put on your screen so you don't forget to run it or whatnot. It's there. We know it. When we have the space and the capacity, hopefully within 24 to 48 hours, to come back to that, gosh, I was really mad about that, or I felt so, so upset. Let me allow that feeling to be felt so it can release and I can move on in my life.
Right. Because if we don't, then that's where it gets in your body and it can't get out and it, you know,
Yeah, I
develops
tell all
disease
my
in other
clients
ways.
and students, if you ignore it, you store it. But if you feel it, you
Yes.
can begin to heal it.
I love that.
Mhm.
Yes. And that's part of what we need to learn to do. And that's why I love talking to people like you who have those practical strategies, have lived experience, and you can just kind of show us what to do when we come across those emotions because we need to. It's a
Yeah,
human to
it's
have
human.
emotions. We need to.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
love instead of
Yeah.
saying, like, "Oh, that's so stupid," or "I should," or "I shouldn't," it's like, "Oh, that's so human of me."
It is.
Yeah,
And we have to, people say you got to give yourself grace. We need to. And like you said, we're not going to know what happiness is if we don't have all the feels because it's going to come and go. And so when you're having the best day ever and your kids are behaving and everything's going right, you have to remember this will also change. Right.
yeah,
So,
everything changes. It's all a
yeah.
flow of life, and there's such a huge range. But the piece is if you allow that flow and you don't cling to any one spot and you
Hmm.
notice You notice when
Mhm.
it's good. You know that that too will pass, but you have this place to come back to. So we like to say in the happiness work that it doesn't mean that you're going to be happy all the time and things are going to be so great. But what it does mean is that if you do the practices of happiness, when times are tough, it doesn't take as long to move through them. So we come
Mhm.
back to this inner state of peace and well being a lot faster than if we're avoiding, or trying to just focus on the positive and spiritually bypassing. If we acknowledge everything and we allow it all, then we can move through the challenging times more efficiently. I used to hold on
Mhm.
to anger for days, weeks, months, years. Now it's minutes, seconds, few breaths,
Mhm.
right? That really because I acknowledge it. Like little kids, right? Little kids just want
Right.
to be acknowledged. And as soon as you say, "Oh
Yes.
boy, you look like you're really upset," they're like, yeah. And then they run off and play because now they're fine because they've been
Right.
acknowledged.
Right. Right. So we can do that for ourselves, our bodies, our emotions. We're going to be able to reset
Yes,
quickly. That's good.
yes.
That's a great reminder.
Yeah.
So, as a mom and having three and thinking about all the things that are going on in your life, I would think, happiness is definitely a goal, but it's not going to come, all the time. Talk to us a little bit about how you curate that self care, self love. Like, what does that look like for you, during your ups and downs?
Yeah. So first I would say that for me and what I encourage is that happiness isn't a goal, but it's a practice.
Mm,
So it's a practice. So that's what
mm-hmm,
self-care actually looks like for me is practicing the skills and tools of
mm-hmm,
happiness. So if I may just like run through the seven main
mm-hmm.
areas of happiness that the research has borne out.
Yeah.
The first is taking responsibility for your happiness. So, how this shows up in my life and what I encourage my clients to do is that I'm not expecting you, Kendra, to make me happy. Like, if we get off this podcast and something went terrible or it was wonderful, neither of those are your responsibility from my experience. My experience is my responsibility. So, I'm no longer blaming my mother or my ex-husband or the weather or the president for my unhappiness. I own that. And that doesn't mean, if you've had terrible things happen in your life, that you're responsible for that. It's not your fault, but it is your responsibility moving forward, right? Right now and in the future. So I take 100% responsibility for my own happiness. Number two is being aware of the mind. We have 60,000 thoughts a day on average, and most of them are negative and most of them are repeated. So I love some good mindset work after we've done some body work to kind of regulate the nervous system. So checking in with your predisposition of negative thinking or what your views are about the world. Is it a friendly universe or is it a harmful universe? And then checking your thoughts. And there are ways to retrain our neurology toward the positive so that's it's authentic, not forced. So I spend lots of time on that with clients. The third is the heart. So the happiest people in the world live with an open, forgiving heart. So we want to start to forgive the little things. Forgiving ourselves is probably the most important piece of forgiveness because, oh my gosh, I could say, like, oh, I forgive my ex husband, but what if I don't forgive myself? The cycle's not complete. So we want to let go. And this is all a practice, right? And it's not easy as it sounds right now. This has taken years for people to do. Some people are quicker than others, but if we're practicing, we're getting better at it, right? So we let go of hurt, regret, anger, past versions of ourselves. We forgive, we open, and we allow the heart to open. And then we got to take care of this body, don't we? We only get this lifetime. So are we sleeping enough? Are we nourishing the body, drinking water instead of all the other bad toxic things? Are we eating right? And movement is so key. Movement has, in fact, been shown to be more effective for our mental health than any pill ever. So, getting some movement for me, it's yoga. I'm a yogi. I now teach yoga. I love the gentleness of the practice, even the good, hard, fast vinyasas. Um, and getting some movement is so important. Then we have our spirit, our soul. Are we connected to something greater than ourselves? It could just be the trees, it could be nature, it could be the birds that bring you joy and help you feel connected to more than just you. And then there's also, if you believe in God, if you believe in source, spirit, whatever the higher wisdom of your understanding is, that connection is a common thread of the happiest people in the world. So we've touched on taking responsibility, the mind, the heart, the body, the soul. Now we do what we call putting a roof on our home for happiness. And this is about purpose, like we talked about in the very beginning. It doesn't matter that it's a big P purpose. It matters that you're finding purpose and meaning every day in your life, every day, whether that's holding the door open for someone or listening, like really listening to a friend, or, picking up garbage along your daily walk. Maybe that makes you feel purposeful, whatever it is. I worked with seniors for years. So a lot of them would be like, well, I'm retired now. That doesn't matter. Your job, if that's your whole purpose in life, including your job as a parent, like we've got to dig deeper in what brings us purpose and meaning just for ourselves within ourselves. That little impacts that make big impacts, right? And then our relationships is the seventh piece. Like, who are we spending our time with? Do they support and nourish us, or do they drag us down and drain us? And all seven of those are daily practices, big or little, 1 minute, 5 minutes. For some people, I'll just say, wow, you're really busy. And while we work to, reduce your load, could you take a breath break each time you go to the bathroom? If that's the only time, oops, sorry, I hope that wasn't noisy. If that's the only time you have when you walk through that bathroom door, take a moment to breathe, body scan, connect with yourself again. Whew, there we go. That's a
Yeah.
practice.
Yeah. Yeah. You've hit on
Yep.
all of the pieces for sure. I mean, I think people may think if they haven't done any research on happiness or read any books about happiness or, listen to you in this podcast, it might be the first time they're realizing there's multiple components to what brings us to that state of being happy. And like you said, it's not a goal.
It's a practice.
It's
It's
it's a
lots of little
practice.
practices. It's okay to also take time off of the work, right? Like, I do this work diligently because I feel better when I do. And there are still days like tomorrow, my planned day off, where I may not do much of anything. Maybe I will watch Netflix all day. I don't know yet.
Yep.
I'm just going to go with what feels good. And so it's not about striving or constantly working or getting or being better. It's knowing
Mhm.
what brings me peace, what makes me feel better in my body, heart, and mind. Do those
Yes.
things.
Mhm.
Uh,
Yeah. And like you, space in my calendar definitely brings me joy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because I like to go in and think deeply about something. I like to have deep work time, but I also like to have deep relaxed time.
Yeah.
And you need
It's so important. And
both.
that's the go slow to go fast thing, right? We've got to
Mhm.
slow down and nourish ourselves in order to have the cognitive capacity to create something wonderful, to have deep conversations, to support our children or parents or work clients, whatever it is. We need the downtime. So many people think I've just got to keep going, going, going. But that going, going, going drive is really avoidance. It's
Mhm.
really that I can't slow down because I'll have to face something I'm uncomfortable with. If I do, and so I'll just keep going until I break down. Well, that's no fun.
Yeah.
We don't want that. We don't want
No.
that. We want to keep being able to go. So we take the rest. The body needs sleep, it needs rest, it needs repair. We've got to slow down to be able to continue to move fast.
Mhm. And, it's interesting. This is going to come full circle. I think if you don't deal with it throughout your life and wait until, you think you're going to wait until you're retired to relax and get to all the things, then you're not going to enjoy retirement because your body is going to be like, I'm done.
Right? Exactly. I always tell, especially parents, I love working with parents. Um, if you imagine yourself as a cup and you are continually pouring out and pouring out and pouring out and pouring out and pouring out, eventually your cup's empty. And then you're still trying to
Yeah.
pour out, but there's nothing left to give. What kind of quality of service are you providing to anybody that you care about?
Right.
As a parent, especially when I first started this journey, my cup was empty. It was cracking in places. Glass was flinging at my children's faces, metaphorically. And
Hmm.
I had to start nourishing myself and noticing what drained me and hurt me so that I could start to clean all of that up. And as I began to nourish myself, the first thing I started with was doing yoga every morning when I woke up. And I noticed that I started to feel better. And I noticed that in feeling better, I was more patient with my children. And in being more
Mm-hmm.
patient with my children, they got along better with me and each other. And so it's such a ripple effect. And
Mm.
it's just one tiny change you can take is to get enough sleep. Right?
Yes.
Like,
Yes.
like hold sacred your sleep. That was the very second thing I did. First, it was yoga and movement where I could breathe a little. And the second most important thing that I noticed was, ooh, I'm a different person on less than 7 hours of sleep.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, let me start to make these changes to really protect my sleep. Still today, it's like my youngest is now 16. He was 5 when I got divorced. They know mom's going to bed. They know mom's putting her phone on do not disturb. They can get through it if there's an emergency. But
Right.
sleep is so vital for our happiness. So
Mm-hmm.
many people just think, well, I'll sleep when I can, no, take an hour, try it for 4 days. One
Yeah.
extra hour of sleep. Go to bed just an hour earlier. Stay off your phone and try to actually sleep for 7 or 8 hours and notice the difference you feel. Like it's huge for most of us.
Yes. Yes. And, I'm also 51. So there's definitely some, areas where I'm connecting with you on multiple levels and thinking if I hadn't stopped, and I stopped because I was forced, the universe whispered and then it dropped a brick on my head. I had to. But hopefully, people listening and watching out there are able to make these small changes before they're forced to slow down.
Yeah. That's my hope for people is that you listen to the whispers and you don't get to the shouts.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because it can be
But we are
painful.
stubborn. We are stubborn human beings.
Yes, we are. We are. And, unfortunately, it's the human condition to think that we're invincible until we're not, or to think we can go, go, go until we can't. So,
Well, and we're socialized that way too, and we're brought up that way. I remember when I first came home, we were living with my parents, and I would have a day off. Here I am, a single mom of three, working 40 hours, plus the commute time. And on a Saturday, I would sit down to read and rest, and I'd see my mom out there washing windows and my dad on a tractor, and I was like, I should be doing something. And I really had to coach myself through that
hmm,
discomfort of just sitting on the couch reading a book.
and not feeling guilty. Yes.
Right. And not to say I didn't. Like I said, I
Hmm.
was coaching myself. It took a long time. Like I spent a whole year like actively noticing that guilt that would come up and going, okay, it's all right if the guilt is there, it's there. I can't deny it because that wouldn't be authentic,
Right.
but I can sit with it and be like, all
Hmm.
right, guilt, what do you have to say? Okay.
Yeah.
And yes, sitting here and reading anyway.
Just allow the guilt to come in and be like, okay,
Yeah.
you can hang out. I'm
Yep.
not going to get
You
up.
can sit down. You can sit next to me if you want to, but I'm not changing what I'm doing. I'm just going to be aware of it.
Yes. Yes. I know. I feel you totally. Yeah. So, do you have any thoughts on, those single moms out there, those hardworking moms out there, and, it could be dads too, men and women listen to this podcast where they're at that, crossroads where they know they need to make a change, but maybe yoga's not for them.
Right.
Whatever the activity is that they need to start figuring out what's going to work for them. But once they find that one thing and they see that it makes a change and they feel better, what's the next thing they need to do to keep pushing?
I I would say it, you don't have to be a yogi to build awareness, right? Start paying attention to yourself. Start paying attention to what energizes you and start paying attention to what depletes you. And if the only changes you make are teeny tiny ones toward what energizes you, then make those and start to release the depleting activities. So a lot of clients will come to me with like screen time habit problems, right? I'm just scrolling and I'm sucked in and I'm angry and okay, well what can we do? What are some ways that we can cut back on that? You don't have to make massive changes. In fact, I don't like it when people make a huge massive radical change because it's more likely to not stick. They're going to not stick to it. I want people to take teeny tiny baby steps because that gives them a chance for those leg muscles to grow stronger. And then one small habit turns into another, 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 another. So, like when a time changes, we don't tell the baby, okay, you have to go to sleep a whole hour different, even though you don't understand any of this. We start with 10 or 15 minutes, right? And 10 or 15 minutes more. So if you're not a yogi, could you take a walk around your living room for 5 minutes? Tomorrow, could you go outside for 10? The next day, could you consider your vacuuming your living room a little bit of exercise and movement? Because often how we think about the movement we're making impacts our physiology. And there was this cool study I read once about fitness and heart rate and exercise. And they took a group of housekeepers and split them in half. And one group, they said, and none of the job didn't change, but one group they said, okay, you guys consider this your physical fitness time. You're cleaning rooms all day, it's your exercise. One group, nothing. They were the control, just stay the same. The group that was told to consider their work their exercise lost weight, got healthier. It's such a mindset thing. So it doesn't matter if you're hitting the gym for an hour every day. When I started the yoga, it was 5 minutes, 5 minutes. And I rolled out my mat next to my bed so that when my feet touched the floor, they were on the mat and I could take 5 minutes. Heck, just stretching, right? If that's a change, well, that's a good change. So little tiny changes, a few breath breaks during the day, noticing where you're holding tension and dropping those shoulders and rolling out the neck, dropping one glass of wine a day. If you have three, try go to sleep half an hour earlier. Little changes make big differences over time. And I'd rather people started with what was possible for them that felt like they could do it, which is why I say bathroom breath breaks. You're going there anyway. So make it possible for yourself. And if you need help with that, I'm here, right?
Yes. And speaking of, what kind of offerings do you send out into the world? Like, where can people find out more about you and the work that you do?
People can find out more about me. The easiest way to find me is just tamarazoner.com. It'll take you to my website, which is alifeyoulovenow.com. And I offer a multitude of things because I want there to be accessible pieces. So if you're local in the Metro Detroit area, I run an in-person meetup once a month where we get together 2 hours and talk about what's real in our lives. And I teach yoga locally as well. Big picture is a retreat coming up in June. I don't know when this will air, but we're doing a somatic yoga retreat, all levels yoga. You don't even ever have to have done yoga in your life. We're also just taking walks in the forest and putting our feet on the ground. So there's that. And then there's coaching. So I do a free discovery call for anybody who's curious or interested in how we might work together. And then I love to start people with a little roadmap of life, the passion test, which is how to get really clear on what matters to you right now so that we can start to put our attention on the things that energize us and light us up and start to let go of the things that deplete us. So a huge range of offerings from me, from very low investment to a higher investment, from a one afternoon of time together to 6 months or a year's together. And, I've come more into this place as I've been in business for longer and stepped away from like business mentorship and coaching for myself to go, you know what? I can do whatever I want. So we can custom make any package for anybody. And it can include some somatic work, it can be straight up mindset coaching, it can be meditations. I never teach anything I haven't done or practiced myself. And I know that not one tool or, vision works for everybody in the same way. So it's very bespoke and custom oriented to what clients need.
I love that. And I think that as people gravitate more towards this finding connection with coaching, which I hope that more do, especially people watching and listening, wanting to reach out and work with a
Yeah.
coach because coaches need coaches.
Is even my
Mhm.
best friend's a therapist. She needs coaches, right? Like,
Mhm.
and
Yeah.
and if you just want to like get a little more of me, Instagram, that's where I play. I show up in reels and positive posts and also real posts. Like if you feel like crap today, that's okay too.
Before we let you go, do you have any final thoughts that you want to share?
I I want you to know, you, Kendra, and you, anybody listening or watching, that you're worth this. You are worth your own time, care, and attention. And the more you take care of yourself, the more capacity you have to be there for the people who depend on you, who you love and want to be there, kids, parents, friends, clients, whatever it is, like your well-being. So act like it.
Yeah, the more we act like it, right? The more we attract what we want. And, if we want to live a particular life and the way we want to live it, and whatever lifestyle, goals we have, we've got
Yeah.
to start with ourselves.
Yep.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Okay. Well, it's been a quick conversation for me. So I hope that others out there listening and watching have enjoyed the content. I so appreciate your time and thank you for being with us today.
Thanks for having me. I really appreciate it.
Yeah. Well, I hope that you agree that today's conversation was fun and grounding as much as I did. Tamara reminds us that happiness isn't something that we wait for. It's not a goal, it's a practice. It's something that we create moment by moment, choice by choice. And as you move through your week, think about one small habit that you can shift. Like she said, if you have 3 drinks a week, consider having 1 less. Pare it down. Whatever you're consuming or doing that you want to change, just slightly change it. Don't go cold turkey. Think of one moment where you can choose joy, or one way where you can bring a little more lightness into your day. Because when we slow down enough to notice what matters, we create space for more of it. So notice how it feels in your body when you do that activity. Do you feel good? Do you want to do more of it? Make space in your day so you do that every day to feel a little bit better. If this episode brought a smile to your face or a shift in your perspective, share it with someone who could use a little more happiness in their life. And as always, I'm so grateful for you to be here listening in every week, doing this work with us, alongside of us, choosing intention and building a life that feels good from the inside out. Just remember, until next time, the light in me honors the light in you. And as you head into the rest of your week, let your light shine through. Go slow to go fast, and thanks for listening.